Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Tea and Me. Today we are joined by the wonderful Eliza Fitness, known to me and others as Wisby, or Elizabeth. Today's episode is going to take focus on eating disorders, and we're just going to base this on kind of like an interview conversation. So my first question to you is, can you describe a brief journey of your eating disorder?
Yeah, so since I can remember, like year 9, I kind of was checking mirrors every time I was walking past them, and I was just really like scared of what people thought of me. I was kind of thriving off compliments for sure. Like, I think what kind of made it worse was the fact that people kept giving me compliments, and you kind of want to maintain that. You're kind of scared of losing it, and for me, I was quite not I wasn't that confident in myself anyway, so the compliments, I would just keep going, and when they kind of stopped, I'd be like, oh no, something's gone wrong, like I've gained weight. And for me, it kind of I started to spiral, because in lower sixth I kind of went through a really shit stage of just like everything I thought about was food, and like I'd be terrified to lose those compliments. So like if they stopped, I'd be like, oh no, like I need to lose more weight. And I would like track my calories, like I'd be scared of like eating certain foods and stuff. But I'm really happy to like say that now I'm like so much better. I'm like fully recovered, and I basically use fitness as a kind of coping mechanism, in terms of I want to be like strong. I want to be strong. I don't want to lose weight. I'm like eat very normally. And I don't cut out food groups. I'm not like scared of food. It's not the enemy anymore. But yeah, like obviously with my account and everything like that, I want to just kind of inspire, sort of. I know that my account's really small, but I want to kind of inspire like people to have healthy relationships with food, because I went through like a period of about 4 years where I just felt like really shit and uncomfortable with my body, even though at my lowest I was really skinny, and I thought that would make me happy, but at the end of the day, no, it just doesn't. So yeah, like I'm really happy now. I'm at uni and I eat very well, and I don't think about food like all the time. But yeah, that's basically like a kind of brief thing, but there's a lot more levels to it.
Yeah, I find it interesting because a lot of the time when you look back on the times when you thought you were really big, the kind of body dysmorphia is just insane, because you look at photos and you're like, oh my god, I was so skinny, but you're like, in that moment you knew that you thought you were enormous. Like it's
Yeah, completely. Like, as in, I'd look in the mirror sometimes. At my lowest point, I'd say in lower sixth, like honestly, I don't want to be like like I don't know, sad or anything like that, but I would literally like look in the mirror when I was at my lightest or like at my unhappiest. I would literally just like cry sometimes, like if I looked at myself in the mirror when people were telling me like you look so good, or like you're really skinny and stuff, and I just kind of would look at it, and like even if I'd had a meal or something like that, I'd just be like really upset. And I think it's definitely like, I wouldn't say I was anorexic. I definitely was orthorexic, or I never like got diagnosed at all, but I definitely there was something not right with it.
yeah.
But orthorexia is basically being obsessed with being healthy. So I'd cut out food groups like carbs, and I'd avoid sugary foods, and I don't eat like fish and veg, basically.
Yeah.
Really isn't very healthy. But it's definitely more of a mental illness than a physical illness. Like, this comes in no body shape or no specific type of body, like you can't just be skinny to have an eating disorder. It can come in any shape and size. I wasn't noticeably thin, I'd say. Like, I was kind of like a normal weight. Like, if you're going to the gym, people thought I was really healthy, and that I was just kind of like taking care of my body, when like realistically
It's
I was I was starving myself, and like no one really knows what you're going through. And like nobody like notice that I had an eating disorder. And I think that's kind of like maybe that made it harder to reach out because they'd probably be like, oh, like,
Weird.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like definitely.
When did you first realize that something had changed in the way you felt about food and like yourself? Was it like you noticing, or was it someone else pointing it out to you that they're noticing something different?
I think I definitely in my mind like realized since like year 9 that something wasn't right. And I never, honestly, never wanted to address it because I was, it sounds so sick, but like I was like scared of like actually admitting it to myself, and like I almost like didn't want to get better in a way. Like I really wanted to keep that going, and like it's really sad because like a lot of my like closest friends don't even know this, but yeah, I would just like, I would cut out food groups, and like, you know, if like there was rice at dinner, for example, I wouldn't eat that. And like there was, it's actually so silly, like the point where I thought that like fruit was like bad for you because it was like carbs. Like it was just so weird. Like I would avoid fruit, I'd avoid bananas and all that stuff because I thought it was so bad for you. But that definitely, it changed, it kind of changed after lower sixth, but definitely like I would eat probably less than 1,000 like calories a day, just really healthy stuff. Like I just say, oh, I'm just being healthy, but it just, looking back at it, was not healthy at all. And I'm really glad, like honestly, I'm really happy that I actually recognized that, and like, yeah, I did change it around. But, yeah.
I mean, when you look back, were there any obvious warning signs that could have hinted towards illness? Like from an outside perspective, obviously you know that this is going on. You're like, obviously you don't want to be vocal about it, which it manifests itself like that. That's the way eating disorders do work. To like friends on the outside, what kind of things were warning signs looking back?
To friends on the outside?
Yeah, or just people, or
I think like definitely people would probably, thing is I didn't want people to notice.
Yeah.
So
you try and hide it as best
I
you can.
really tried to hide it the best I could. Like I would, you know, it's not a it's a mental thing. Like you don't, like physically I portray, I go out with like my friends or like my ex and I'd eat loads of food. Like I'd eat burgers, I'd eat like I drink loads of like wine and, you know, enjoy myself. But then, you know, I go home and I'd punish myself for it. Like I wouldn't throw up or anything, but I'd mentally go to bed and be so upset that I just like indulged. And I don't think people can really see that. They can't, you know, that I kind of made it hard for myself in that sense. I said I didn't want to get better. I was like, you know, it was almost like a mental torment for me because I was like, I need to maintain this, but then I had like no self-control or anything. But I think that for people probably noticing, it would be the fact that I was just really overly healthy. I sometimes went to the gym like day, or, you know, just like obsessive with fitness. Like I think less food wise because I never ate too much anyway, but just like kind of my obsession with looking the same. I think that's probably was one of the warning signs, and like not eating too much on my plate basically.
Yeah, I think one of the things with me is that you're overly positive about food and being healthy. It's like everyone's like, oh, you're not hungry, you're like, oh no, I'm so full, like I had this. You're trying to like
Completely.
talk up to other people that you're fine, and like you over exercise and you're like, oh no, I just want to be healthy, I'm just strong, but in your mind it's just trying your hardest to like pretend you're overly positive about looking like that's how it kind of works, which is just
and that is weird. That's, I mean, like when I got into fitness, like I hadn't really told many people about what I've been going through at all. And like I was scared that people that did know would be like, are you sure this is the right idea for you? And honestly, I had got to that place where it was kind of like quasi recovery. I was kind of like, when I started my account, I wasn't fully like better or anything, but I thought that it would motivate me. But like, yeah, I completely agree. Like I didn't want anyone to like think I was weird, or like I didn't want the judgment about it. I didn't want people to like talk about me behind my back. That's like the one thing that I was really scared of. Like as I said in the beginning, you know, the compliments, I didn't want those compliments to turn into like, you know, what is she doing? But I think that was kind of just my confidence at the time. I think I was just quite like underconfident, and I really like cared about what other people think of me.
Yeah.
That did change when I left my school, but yeah.
Who did you first reach out to get help, and how did that conversation occur? Because I know that it's quite a hard thing to recognize, especially if you haven't got someone, you know, asking you about it, and to self-realize it. How did you kind of first have the initial conversations? What kind of happened?
So honestly, I didn't really talk to my family, which I know is quite like rare. Like a lot of the time you do reach out to your family, but I didn't want to make a big issue out of it. Like, I don't like being the center of attention. Like, I don't, as you can probably tell, like, I don't like standing out. I don't want people saying anything.
Yeah.
I really tell my family, because I thought that it's just not their problem and it's for me to deal with. Luckily, I did kind of notice like a few of my friends are going through similar things to me. And I obviously, when you have that kind of mental illness, you do pick up on it a lot like more easily. So I did like talk to a few of my friends about it, and like people that I reached out to, just kind of about like not even to get better, but just knowing that someone is going through the same thing as you is just really comforting. Like every story is different obviously, but just knowing that someone didn't have, like, I thought my relationship with food was like semi-normal, and then to like know that it's really not normal, it was like a massive, like, it's just the first step. Talking to someone is so important, like more than I could have realized, because when you keep all of this stuff inside to yourself, like, it's awful. It's like a cloud over your head. And then as soon as I talk to my friends, or like, honestly, I'd recommend anyone you feel comfortable with, just, or knowing if they're going through the same thing, just reach out, because it's this, honestly, the scariest part is like telling someone or like one person about it, and once you do, like, you feel like this massive like weight off your shoulders, and it kind of can only go up from there, I feel, like, once you tell someone. But yeah,
It's like a brick wall. You have like loads of different layers, and once you knock down the first one, you and that person then knock down the second one, and then you kind of build up your support bubble, and then you're all knocking down these walls. It just has a knock-on effect, which is like recognizing that one conversation could change it is like such an important thing.
That's why I honestly love this account. I'm literally there because it's so important. Like, honestly, like, before coming on here, I was like shitting myself. I was like, oh my god, like, I haven't really talked about it at all before. But I think it is time to just like break the stigma of like talking about this, and it's overdue, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, very overdue.
Yeah.
Because I wish I had some platform to like kind of learn from experiences, but like I just really feel like not many people have that. And like, it's really good that even if this episode doesn't like apply to anyone, like everyone, like, it's still helpful. Like, I just love how the conversation has started, you know.
Yeah. Obviously you mentioned friends. Within any mental illness or mental health condition, it's quite hard to kind of keep those connections. How did this affect your relationship with family and friends? Did it change the way you viewed in certain environments, so say school, or trying to do work, or being in family conversations and meal times? How did that manifest?
I think, like, as I said before, like, I did kind of put on like a brave face. Like, I acted normally, like I would eat normally in front of friends. I'd just be like healthy, you know. But honestly, at my old school, there was a big pressure, I'd say, to be a certain way and to look a certain way. And that really spurred it on, I think. Like, everyone was really sporty, and you know, they all had their own thing, and I think it's very easy to get lost in comparing yourself to others, and a lot of people don't have much confidence, I'd say, when they're at that age. You're very vulnerable when you're like, sorry,
It's so hard that
yeah,
age.
so hard, like when you're 13 to 18, like you don't know who you are, and you're really trying hard to like find out what you want to be, and there's sorts of pressure on you, especially academic pressure as well, like a bit too much for me as well. And on top of that, you have these social pressures. You have like a need to fit in. You have to need to have certain friends, be in a certain friendship group, and look a certain way. And I think what kind of changed for me was the kind of view I had when I left my school. I don't get me wrong, I love my school. I loved every like most seconds of it. But I think, yeah, it's just quite a judgmental environment, and a lot of people were too kind of concerned with what other people were doing. And I fair enough, you don't have much else to do, but once I left, I felt so much more confident, and I felt like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care if anyone judges me for this. I don't know, they're not my friends if they don't support me in that way. But I don't know, like, I think I definitely like built up the courage. I wish I like built up the courage to speak out sooner about like what was going on, but the environment, I think, was just not right. And since then, I have, as soon as lockdown started and I was in my opposite year, kind of used that to my advantage and started a fitness page, which I thought could really like influence girls, and like a lot of girls have reached out to me, and like that has been amazing. But yeah, definitely the school did play a big part in it, I think, just from pressure. But
I think one of the main things is that not enough young people in those environments get recognition for the fact that they are changing. They're literally going through the biggest changes of their life, and no one talks about that. You're just kind of expected to just get on with it, whether every single day it will be a different event, a different scenario, a different way you're going to feel about yourself, and no one kind of talks about that is normal, and like no one kind of accepts the fact that you can be outside of a bubble. You can be different to the bubble.
Yeah.
And that's like breaking that bubble is going to be hard, but once kind of one person starts doing it, it's hopefully going to keep going. But
yeah, exactly. I think it's this like, I don't know, kind of like a stigma, I think, about it all.
I was just about to say, like, did you find there was any stigma dealing with your illness? Like, did social media kind of play a part in that? And if it did, like, how did you overcome it? Because I know going through that, you kind of obsess over pictures of perfect Instagram models or perfect stars that you see, and how do you kind of get away from the scroll and finding like stigma in like movies and things like that? How do you get like overcome it? How did you?
I think the stigma for me was the fact that I was so scared about what people thought of me. I thought, if you have an eating disorder, you like pick on every little detail of your body, and you think, oh my god, people are going to talk about me, like she's gained weight, she's lost weight, whatever. And that was the stigma for me. I just thought that people saw an eating disorder or like something that was wrong as gossip, and that really like put me off telling anyone. That really deterred me from reaching out. Like, it's not a physical thing, it's a mental thing as well. And it doesn't like matter what weight you are, like you can have something wrong with you, and just to have that like turn into gossip is not like, it's not a very welcoming environment, I feel. But like, in terms of social media, like I definitely, the first thing I did when I realized there was a problem, the way I addressed it, was that I unfollowed every bikini model, every influencer, which I would literally spend hours just scrolling, zooming in on their body, thinking I wish I had their body. The first thing I did was just go through my followers and just think, like, what does this add to my life? Like, these people are photoshopped, they're not reality. They've posed probably like 2 hours for a photo, like one photo. And like the reality is that a lot of those models are not happy themselves. And they have a lot on their plate as well. They, social media is a facade, to be honest. Like, it makes you seem like happy and you're just not. And something really bad could be going on in your personal life, and like no one would know. and everyone thinks, oh my god, I have the perfect life, but it's just not true. So I think this first step for me was unfollowing people that were like not like, I don't know, just very, very skinny, and focusing on influencers that were promoting like body confidence and positivity and promoting like weight training and stuff like that, because that's more the like, that was my goal, that's what I wanted to see. But I think it's very damaging when young girls follow like these really, really tiny Instagram models, because like, I mean, if you think off the top of your head, like you can list about 20 in your head, and like there are like, those are the 20 most like skinny girls in the world probably. Like, you don't want to be comparing yourself to them. So it's just a toxic place in general.
It's just so toxic. Like waking up in the morning, you see someone in the Bahamas in their like skimpy bikini, and you're like,
is that real life? Like, I don't think
why
so.
am I in my pajamas at 12 p.m. going
like waking up for my lecture with my like double chin.
literally being like, my alarm didn't go off. Nice. But like, the thing is, it's so simple, but like, we have the power to change our Instagram feed. Like, it's no one doing it for us, it's our own actions. Like, and that's the first thing. Like, what do you want to see on your Instagram feed? Okay, find a person that does that and follow them, and unfollow things that you do. It's just that simple, and it can actually like change your day.
Your mind is just like influenced by, I think honestly, like Instagram is an extension of society. Like, what you see is like what you get and what you think about, you know. Like, these girls that have been posing for 2 hours, they're just not, I'm sorry, you'd never see them walking on Ascot High Street. They're like selected, like they go through a very rigorous process, and they have strict diets. Like, it's just not sustainable. But
it's not a life.
Not at all.
What strategies, obviously we know about Eliza Fitness, if you don't, go follow everyone. What strategies and ways did you go about coping before you kind of created the page? Did you have any before? Or
so interestingly, I don't think anyone like, so Mr. Clements, he's like the biggest legend in the world. So this teacher at our school, he had this thing called X Challenge that, like, before I didn't really have many coping mechanisms. I kept it all to myself. My turning point, honestly, was when this amazing man, Mr. Clements, ran this thing called X Challenge, and that was all about weight training. That was like a sport you could sign up to. It was like weight training and circuits, and I'd never really done it before, because I kind of like, just in the gym, I just focused on how many calories I could burn and like cardio and stuff. But so I like got introduced to him, and he, like, me and him got on so well. Like, we would, you know, like, I was still in a bad way, but he like pushed me, like he motivated me to like lift heavy weights, and like a lot of the time I realized I was actually naturally quite strong, and he'd push me, and I realized that like I was so weak because I was like quite skinny, that, you know what, like, I want to do well in this. Like, I love it, I'm passionate about it, I want to eat more food just to like get stronger. And that's where it all started, like kind of realizing I needed to eat to build muscle, and kind of balancing it with like working academics as well. Like, honestly, it was a big distraction from like eating, but honestly the main thing was the kind of transition to weight training that I realized was so important. I don't think a lot of girls actually realize how important it is to like get strong, and that if you're in the kind of eating disorder, like transitioning from like skinny to strong is like, it just changes your whole mindset. I can't explain it. Like, you don't want to lose weight, you want to gain weight because you want to be strong. So for me, coping was like weight training. Whenever I went to X Challenge, it's just amazing. But
so obviously you talk about the food and that side of it. How has the kind of fitness journey you've been on changed the way you view food and eating and things like that?
Sorry.
I said, how has your fitness journey changed the way you view food and eating?
I think honestly I've just like realized that I need to get out of this like cut phase, you know, like I need to up my carbs, protein, everything like that, because like I lift heavy weights now. Like I don't really do much cardio. I want to get strong, and like I've just realized that like when I eat more, like I really enjoy. I love my figure at the moment. I'm so happy with my body, and I haven't really changed much. Like it's really weird. Like I'm eating all the food I love. I'm lifting weights, which is honestly like my therapy. I love it. And not much has changed. Like I've kind of maintained like the same weight. Like I don't really weigh myself much at all, but I haven't noticed much change in my body, and I'm like really happy that the journey has kind of like led me to another different type of exercise that is honestly so much more sustainable and better. So yeah.
Was it not hard at the beginning? I know, like, did you kind of go from 0 to 100 in your eating? Because obviously with that mindset, you've kind of got to overcome your thoughts to be able to eat the way you want to. How did you kind of do that? Was it a process or?
So like I think honestly lockdown helped me a lot. So with school food as well, like you get a dining hall meal and it would be, you know, you wouldn't really eat until dinner, whereas like now I have like 3 meals and I snack like twice, like more than twice a day, like the whole day. I'm just sat down snacking. But like I think just, I don't know, being at home has made me more aware of like what I need in my body, and like because I was at school, it was all broken up by like hour, you know, like lesson, and like you kind of, I wouldn't eat until like lunchtime. Like I wouldn't have breakfast. I'd have nothing until lunch at school, and then I would wait until dinner and I'd have like a little tiny snack in between, like fruit or something. But like I'm just so much more balanced with it now, and I eat 3 meals a day, like, but like dense meals, like porridge for breakfast, like a nice chicken wrap for lunch or something, and then I'll eat a massive dinner. I'll eat ice cream, yogurt, whatever, snack throughout the day. But yeah, no, it did take some building up for sure. Like I think it wasn't a formal building. I didn't have a nutritionist or anything like that, but I've just become more comfortable with what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever have days, obviously it's kind of a up and down journey all the time, but do you ever have days where negative feelings towards food creep back in? And if you do, how do you kind of overcome them?
So for me, like, yeah, I obviously have bad days. I think, you know, we can't forget that like lockdown was only 10 months ago and I still was in quite a bad place then. But honestly, I think the thing I noticed was that the way you look is like the least interesting thing about you, and I used to think that it was the most important thing. But having eaten a lot more, I realized like your personality is what counts. Like the experiences you have, you can't just put it off because you don't want to eat something, or like you don't want to go to an event because you're going to eat a lot there. And I've realized like my goals, like the strength, my goals are strength, and like that's what I want to achieve. I don't want to be skinny. So like when I have bad days, I just remember how far I've come, and like I'm so proud of the fact that I was able to turn it around. Like I didn't need much formal help, and I know a lot of people do, but I'm just really happy that I'm in a good place at the moment. And I just remember that when I'm having bad days, I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna work out later. I smash a workout, eat a lot of food. I'm like, okay. But yeah.
What advice would you give people to get themselves motivated and moving? I know how I haven't bothered. I literally can't be bothered to work out or do anything in lockdown. So what kind of advice would you give to motivate people? And at uni, obviously, it's a different environment. So how would you keep yourself motivated there as well?
For sure. Like, but since I've like moved to uni, I found it so much more difficult, and I know a lot of people are struggling with that. But like my recommendation would be to like start small. Like don't just make a workout plan and think I'm going to stick to this. Like I'm going to be really strict, because it's not really sustainable, and you can't build a habit just like overnight. So I'd start small, honestly, like go for a walk every day. Like walking is so good for you. Like it's very underrated form of exercise. Like I go on a walk every day, not only just for like exercise, but to like clear my mind. It's more almost like, you know, if I don't do a workout in the day, I'll go walking instead of a workout. It's better. Like it's doesn't, I don't think about the calories it burns or anything like that, but it's just like amazing for your mental health as well, just to be outside, be present in the moment, forget your phone, or you can put in a podcast or whatever, just whatever you want to do. And you've got to like remember, like, is what you're doing sustainable? Like do some yoga, do some Pilates, do some HIIT, but like don't make something if you can't stick to it, because then you'll just end up feeling bad about yourself. And like don't set unrealistic goals, because yeah, at the end of the day, it's not good. It's not really good for you, because like you just build it up slowly. I'd say that's what I've done.
Yeah, I like completely like, yeah, you kind of just explain why I don't do anything, because I make such big goals and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do, like one night I get like a burst of energy, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this, okay, my life is planned,
And then you wake up,
and then I wake up and I'm like, oh for fuck's sake, like what the fuck. So I sit in my bed and I'm like, well, today's gone, can't do anything, cool.
If you just say to yourself, I'll go on a walk tomorrow, that's the only thing I'll do, that's the only thing I'll change, little changes then develop into life habits. So you've just got to like, I honestly go through massive periods of like motivation. Like at the moment I'm doing uni work, I'm so stressed, I'm just like, I don't want to do a workout, but then I'm like, you know, it's more of discipline than motivation, I feel. But yeah.
Nice. And obviously with having your fitness account, do you ever find having food and fitness in your mind all the time negative, or have you learned to kind of build a relationship with both, and how, because it's obviously your account is dedicated towards that?
I think like the fitness community, like all the accounts that I follow, people that like comment on my posts, like I don't know them at all. It's like, it sounds really strange,
Fan club.
but like they gas you up, and like a lot, like, I obviously only follow the accounts I want to see. Like I don't follow like really skinny people just because like I want to be like them. Like I follow them because they are like what I'm working towards. Like they're doing weight training as well, and like when I have bad days, I will literally reach out to them. Like it sounds really weird, but like the fitness community, that are so fucking nice. Like they're helpful. Like they'll literally tell you whatever you want and give you advice. And I find that like amazing. And a lot of the food as well is not just like healthy food. It's like amazing recipes. You can, you know, it's all about balance, and it's not about diets or anything like that. It's just like genuinely enjoying yourself. So like if I don't like an account, I will like unfollow it. No cap. But yeah.
No cap.
Like sometimes I've gone through times where I've been like, oh no, like I probably should be a bit more motivated. Like I haven't posted in ages. These people are doing so well, but then I'm just like actually like going through like quite a hard time with work and everything like that. So I don't really put too much pressure on myself. But yeah.
That's so good. And finally, now being in kind of such a strong place with your mind and body, I like to think, that's why I've kind of done this channel, is that there's always a positive thing to be learned from mental health experiences like this, like a negative kind of side of your life. What do you think you have learned from your experience?
God, it's been like a massive journey for me, and I think like I'm just so grateful that even at 18 years old now, I've recognized that there was something wrong and I addressed it, and I now have a genuine like happy relationship with food, like happy and healthy relationship. Like I love food. Like I see it as more of a nourishment and something that you need instead of it being the enemy. And like I'm a lot more confident in myself as well. Like as soon as I left school, I realized that, you know, I had to make a change. I couldn't be like that I couldn't be so unhappy forever. And I like creating my account, I think, which was like another step in my recovery process. I just like realized how many people actually were going through the same thing. People at my school who reached out to me, like younger years, older years, they all reach out to me being like, thank you, like like I did not realize the impact I had on it, and like just to had on them, and like to be part of that honestly has like, it makes me want to cry. It's just, it makes me like so happy, because even though my account isn't big, it's more the fact that people have been going through the same thing and like have been suffering in silence, and honestly like have just felt the kind of confidence to reach out to me. I want to be that person that like helps people, and like so much more like matters than your weight, you know, like the weight is just not, it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter, it's like who you are on the inside that I think really counts. And I think just like the lesson, like the top lesson that I learned is that just try to be happy in your own skin. I know it's so much harder said than done, but like I just want to inspire young people to, like young men and women, to be happy in their own skin, and to see exercise as something, as a therapy, not like something they need to lose weight, because definitely that was my transition that I found like just extraordinary, the kind of shift in mindset from losing weight to gaining weight and being so much more like happy inside. Yeah, like if anyone wants to message me about it, like I'd be more than happy to talk about anyone's experience, because I've been through it myself. And yeah, but honestly I'm just really like, I'm just very happy at the moment with my body, with, I don't know, my relationship with food, and it's just has such a direct impact on pretty much everything. So yeah.
Well done. Like, it makes me so happy
Yeah,
to hear it, like genuinely so happy.
I'm just happy to come to the point where I'm like, oh, low battery. I'm just so happy that like I've come to the point where I'm just like, you know what, like if I have a burger, if I have whatever, I don't really give a shit about what it will do. I'm just happy to be able to enjoy food, because like food's fucking unreal. Like food is unreal.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think kind of just the takeaways from what we've discussed is just that first conversation that you have with either with yourself or someone. It's just so important, even if you pour your heart out or you don't, or just recognize that you need someone.
It's different for everyone though. I've got to like highlight that, because for me it exercise turned into something that I loved, and wasn't punishing myself for. But for some people it can be a really like awful and toxic thing. So beware of that, beware of what you want, beware of like your limits. Everyone's different. I'm not saying like you've got to follow my path and become a fitness queen, but yeah, like just like do what you love, don't focus on weight as the end goal, because there are so many more things out there. And
Completely.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you, and thank you so much for speaking. I know it's difficult and scary, but everyone on this channel is here to support you and kind of raising awareness of these issues. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on. I loved it. I love you.
Follow Eliza Fitness.
Thanks, love.
Guys.
Gonna be alright.